Edgar Cayce reveals 15 shocking reasons why everyone is jealous of Geminis, even their rivals. Have you ever wondered why so many people feel envy toward Geminis, even without fully understanding why? What if I told you there's a spiritual force behind it, a hidden code that only the most perceptive can detect? It's not just about charisma, intelligence, or versatility. According to Edgar Cayce, the prophet of the unconscious, Geminis carry a dual and sacred energy that evokes both fascination and fear. There's an invisible reason why Geminis trigger such intense reactions from lovers, haters, and even rivals. And that reason goes far beyond mainstream astrology. Cayce revealed in his prophetic visions that those born under Gemini were programmed for something greater. They're not just good talkers. They are channels of wisdom flowing between worlds. Their sign represents air in motion, the living word, the thought that becomes destiny. And when someone has the power to influence the environment with their voice, their gaze, their mere presence, it disturbs. It deeply unsettles those who can't keep up. Gemini is like a mirror of truth. It reflects what others try to hide. And that's where envy is born. Because where there is authentic light, shadows begin to stir. Have you ever felt that people project expectations, judgments, or silent admiration onto you without you even knowing why? Have you ever sensed that they want you close, but at the same time try to shrink you, control you, silence you? That happens because you carry a rare frequency, a spiritual mission signature. And Cayce saw it clearly. Geminis aren't just here to express themselves. They're here to translate the codes of the unseen. That's why they're targets. That's why they're watched. That's why they're envied. And the most impressive part? Even the most dominant signs, like Leo and Scorpio, feel this presence and wonder, why can't I be like that? In this video, you'll discover the 15 shocking reasons why the universe placed Geminis in a unique position. Get ready, because what's about to be revealed might make you see your own sign with new eyes, or finally understand why some people never looked at you the same way after you arrived. And what if all of this is happening to you, and you never realized why? Maybe now the pieces are starting to fall into place. Maybe that feeling of being misunderstood, of being labeled as two-faced or unstable, was never really about you, but about what others can't bear to see in themselves. Gemini is a walking portal, and those who live on the surface fear depth. Those trapped in rigid certainty fear the creative doubt you embody. That's why understanding these 15 reasons isn't just interesting, it's essential. Because the more you recognize yourself, the stronger you become. And the stronger you are, the less other people's opinions weaken you. So before we move on, I want to invite you to share in the comments. Have you ever felt that someone envied you, even when you were just being yourself? Have you ever been accused of being something you're not, simply because of your free, fluid, and uncontrollable nature? Write it below, because you may not be the only one. And if this video found its way to you, it's not by accident. It's a sign. It's an answer. It's a calling to understand that your energy doesn't need to hide. Hit the like button now if this message is already resonating with you. It not only helps the channel grow, but also spreads this message to more people who, just like you, carry a unique light, but haven't fully realized it yet. Subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning of a much deeper journey. Here, every video is made for those who know that spirituality is real, that signs exist, and that you, yes, you were chosen to awaken something greater. Let's uncover together these 15 revelations from Edgar Cayce and finally understand why Geminis are so loved, so misunderstood, and so envied. Get ready for the truth, because it doesn't ask for permission, it reveals itself. Have you ever felt like people envy you for no reason? Like the simple act of walking into a room shifts the energy, draws stares, stirs reactions, both good and bad? What if I told you it's not about what you do, but who you are? And what if, deep down, it's your zodiac sign that sparks all of this? Gemini is much more than the sign of communication. It's a spiritual frequency that vibrates between two realms, the visible and the invisible. Edgar Cayce once said, "Those born under Gemini's influence carry a gift few can understand, and for that reason, many fear it. They fear your mental speed, your spontaneous brilliance, your restless gaze that sees beyond." Gemini is the sign of air in motion, of the word that transforms, of thought turning into energy. Those born under Gemini feel everything deeply, but mask it with lightness. They silently observe everything, but when they speak, the whole atmosphere shifts. This ability to move between realities, to be flexible without losing essence, is mistaken for instability by those who are too afraid to change. And that's exactly where envy begins, when your freedom reflects someone else's self-imposed prison. Many will say you're fickle, that you change your mind too much, that you talk too much. But what they can't admit is this: you have the courage to be many things in a world that demands one. Label that you can be light and shadow, reason and emotion, calm and storm, all at once. And while you fly freely, these people remain tied to chains they forged for themselves. What they don't understand is that you're not running from anything. You're following the wind of intuition, the divine breath that guides Geminis toward truth. And for those living on autopilot, that looks dangerous. The truth is, your very existence challenges those who've chosen to live on the surface. When Edgar Cayce spoke of Gemini, he saw portals opening, messages being decoded, ideas forming before they were even spoken. He saw a sign with direct access to the divine mind, a sign that by nature carries the gift of spiritual translation. That's why so many come to you to vent, to seek advice, to share their secrets. And it's also why many disappear without even saying thanks, because your presence heals, and not everyone is ready for that. How many times have you been there to help, to inspire, to uplift, and ended up used, misunderstood, or cast aside? How often have you felt people copying you, following your lead, but never having the courage to give you credit? That feeling of being seen but not acknowledged is common among Geminis. And it hurts. It hurts because you feel, because you sense the energy behind words, the intention behind gestures. And even when you pretend not to notice, you know, you always know. And that scares those who think they can deceive you. But listen, that sensitivity is your armor. It's the reason you survive where others would collapse. You read between the lines of life. You notice the signs. You connect dots others don't even see. And that's why you shine. And that's why you disturb. Edgar Cayce said Geminis were sent to Earth as messengers, not to be understood but to create change. And those who carry such a mission will inevitably stir reactions. Some will love you without knowing why. Others will hate you for the same reason. But no one will ever remain indifferent to you. You are not ordinary. And everything about you vibrates that truth. Your voice, your gaze, your laughter, your silence. It's as if your soul is constantly dancing between dimensions, bringing up truths others try to bury. And that's why you often feel out of place, like you don't belong. But let me tell you something. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to expand. And every time someone tries to cage you, limit you, box you in, your energy bursts free. It's not rebellion. It's spiritual identity. If you're a Gemini, you carry that code. And even when you try to fit in, something inside you screams. Because the world wants predictability, but you are movement. The world wants answers, but you are the question. And that bothers people deeply, because where there's a Gemini, there's unrest, there's change, there's wind that shakes loose the dead leaves. There are words that heal and others that awaken, and not everyone is ready for that. That's why you're loved and rejected at the same time, followed and questioned, admired in silence, but never ignored. And if you've made it this far and feel like all of this resonates with you, then comment right now. I am a bridge between worlds, or I carry the message. Tell me below if you're a Gemini or if you know someone who is. And if you've ever felt this, being misunderstood, drawing strange looks, sensing envy without reason, write it down here, because I will read it. And if this video is making sense to you, hit the like button now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. And what's most curious is that even when you try to slow down, dim your light, or fit into the rules of what people call normal, something inside you refuses to obey. It's as if your soul is always 2 steps ahead, thinking, feeling, imagining, transforming. The mind of a Gemini waits for no one. It spins like an energetic field in constant motion, absorbing information from all directions, connecting ideas, sensing atmospheres, sketching answers before the question is even asked. And this mental speed is one of the greatest spiritual gifts you possess, but also one of the main reasons why you're so misunderstood. While many are still trying to understand what was just said, you're already 10 thoughts ahead, exploring possibilities no one even considered. That makes people uncomfortable. They feel challenged by your mental agility, and some mistake it for arrogance or superficiality, but it's none of that. You were simply born with a mind that was never meant to be trapped in the obvious. You were designed to move between the layers of the visible and the invisible, to interpret signs that others don't even notice. And that deep connection to the intuitive realm makes you someone rare. That's why you're so misunderstood. That's why you're so envied. Your adaptability is another trait that confuses and unsettles others. Gemini is like water in the form of wind. It fits anywhere but never gets stuck. You can change environments, groups, topics, or perspectives with the same ease others breathe. And to many that feels like a threat, because we live in a society that values consistency, stability, predictability, things that may seem good on the surface but often hide a deep resistance to change. And you are the opposite of that. You represent movement, eternal learning, exchange. When something no longer resonates with your soul, you simply transform, without guilt, without explanation. And others, those who haven't yet had the courage to do the same, feel envy, a silent envy, disguised as criticism, jokes, or distance. But you feel it. You notice when someone watches you with a forced smile, when they listen with judging eyes, when they imitate you but never admit it. And even when you try to pretend it doesn't matter, it stays with you, because you pick up on everything. This ability to move so fluidly between people, ideas, and dimensions isn't fake. It's a gift, a spiritual ancestral gift, connected to something much deeper than logic can explain. Edgar Cayce saw this in Geminis, that flexibility hiding a powerful strength, a soul that dances between worlds, and for that reason, becomes unclassifiable. And it's exactly this ability to live between two worlds, the tangible and the spiritual, that shakes people the most. You are here, present, speaking, smiling, but part of you is far away, accessing something you yourself can't even explain. Gemini isn't tied to Earth. It touches the invisible with its mind. And that's why your eyes shine like someone who knows too much. That's why your words often arrive before the right time. Because you pick up on things. You translate. You announce. Like a messenger who woke up with a mission to tell the world something it's not ready to hear yet. This ability to see beyond, to feel what's coming, to have ideas no one else had or won't have until years later, is one of your greatest blessings, but also one of your deepest sources of loneliness. Because being ahead of your time also means being alone. And sometimes you ask yourself, am I the problem? But you're not. Your energy is rare, complex, vast, and the world still hasn't learned how to deal with what it doesn't understand. Many try to decode you, but few truly see you. And that's where that envy is born, disguised as irony, that distance disguised as a joke, that sudden silence from someone who couldn't keep up with you. But the truth is, you never needed their approval. You just needed to remember that your gift is not a flaw, that your mental speed is a spiritual connection, that your constant change is evolution, that your duality is actually a bridge between the world of logic and the world of intuition, between what is said and what is felt, between here and beyond. And every time someone tries to reduce you, simplify you, label you, it's a sign that you're triggering something in them that they're not yet ready to see in themselves. If what I just said made sense to you, leave a comment below. I am a bridge between worlds, or I carry a vision no one understands. Tell me in the comments if you're a Gemini, or if you know someone who lives all of this deeply, and if you've ever felt that silent envy, that heavy energy, just for being who you are. Write it here, because this space is for that, and it's impossible not to notice. When a Gemini walks into a room, something subtle, and at the same time powerful, happens. The air changes, the vibe changes, the silence shifts. The presence of Gemini isn't loud, but it's undeniably striking. There's something in the energetic field of this sign that can't be explained with ordinary words. It's a kind of magnetism that can't be learned, can't be taught, can't be forced. It simply emanates. A kind of charisma that doesn't depend on physical beauty or social effort, but flows from the soul. And this natural, Social magnetism is one of the biggest reasons so many people feel drawn to you, and at the same time, threatened by the energy you carry. Gemini has a kind of glow that never dims. Even when trying to hide, even when withdrawing, even when silent, they still shine. It's as if your essence emits a frequency that pulses, that calls, that pulls in eyes, attention, desire, and even envy. People who've never seen you before feel curious. People who've known you for years still try to figure you out. It's that kind of presence that makes heads turn, even for just a second, even discreetly. And this power to enchant others simply by existing is something that, unfortunately, isn't always received with admiration, because those who can't express that kind of subtle influence often try to downplay it. And that's when disguised jokes, forced comparisons, and unexplained distance arise, not because of what you do, but because of what you provoke. But the charm of Gemini isn't just in looks or the way they move, it's in the voice. There's something in the way you speak that hypnotizes, literally. It's as if the words come loaded with images, sensations, rhythms. The Gemini voice has its own tone, shifting like a mysterious melody, sometimes sweet, sometimes sharp, sometimes seductive, sometimes revealing. It's a voice that captivates, that envelops, that grabs the attention of even the most distracted. And the most curious part, you often don't even realize the effect you have. But those who listen feel it. Those nearby feel it. Even those trying to resist feel it. Gemini's communication goes beyond what's spoken. There is spiritual intent in the subtext. There is vibration in the pauses. There is truth even when mystery is present. That's why when you speak, many listen without knowing why. And even without noticing, they follow your suggestions, get inspired by your words, adopt your ideas as if they were their own. And that, for many, is hard to accept. And it doesn't stop there. The energy you carry changes the environment. Truly, it's as if your personal frequency alters the vibrational field around you. Heavy spaces become lighter. Cold places come to life. Still atmospheres begin to move. And sometimes the opposite happens. If there's falseness in the air, your presence disturbs it. If there's deceit, you expose it. If there's manipulation, you disarm it. And all of this without needing to say a word, just with your energy. That's why many people can't stay around you for long, because you illuminate what they prefer to keep hidden in the shadows. Your light is an invitation for them to face their own truth, and not everyone is ready for that. Edgar Cayce knew this. He said Geminis were chosen to be catalysts. They don't come just to join a conversation. They come to change its direction, not just to be part of a group, but to transform it by simply being present. Gemini is the one who reveals what's hidden, who turns rigidity into movement, who brings laughter where there was tension, who offers reflection in the middle of chaos. And this subtle influence, this ability to touch the invisible, means the world is never quite the same after you've passed through it. This can be wonderful for those who are ready, but extremely uncomfortable for those who still resist change. Have you noticed this? Have you felt that even without trying, you trigger intense reactions? Have you walked into a space and felt the energy shift abruptly without knowing exactly why? Have you seen people get close to you quickly and then vanish just as fast without explanation? This happens because your presence activates things. It stirs memories, triggers, desires, and fears. You're like a vibrational mirror, reflecting what others are hiding from themselves. And of course, that draws admiration, curiosity, a desire to be close. But it also draws resistance, jealousy, and envy. That's why so often you have to shield your energy without even realizing it, because people drain you, pull from you, feed off your vibration without knowing. And afterward, you're left exhausted, unsure why. But now you know. You are light in motion, living word, spontaneous enchantment. And your mission is not to dim yourself to comfort those who haven't learned to shine. Your mission is to keep being that bridge, that channel, that presence that transforms, even if it bothers others, even if it creates discomfort, because your existence was never meant to go unnoticed. If you felt this in your own skin, if you recognize yourself in these words, comment below. I change the air when I arrive, or my presence transforms the room. Tell me in the comments if you're a Gemini or if you know someone like this, someone who enters a space and shifts everything without saying a word. Write it here because your story matters. And this spiritual exchange is part of our purpose. Leave your like if this message touched you. And then comes something that few can explain, but every Gemini feels it in their skin. That almost invisible yet intensely real perception of picking up on what others are thinking. No, it's not imagination. It's not exaggeration. It's a rare, almost supernatural sensitivity that manifests as a living intuition. And we're not talking about generic intuition, the kind everyone claims to have. This is something sharper, more direct, more precise, an energetic reading so clear it feels like magic. Gemini picks up what's between the lines, and many times what no one dares to say. You already know. You feel it before you hear it. You know it before you see it. You understand it before it's explained. It's as if your mind is tuned into a frequency where others' thoughts become accessible, as if each vibration had a sound, a word, an intention that you instantly recognize. And this ability is powerful, but also exhausting, because picking up thoughts, even unintentionally, means carrying the weight of unspoken intentions, masked falsehoods, silent judgments flying through the air like invisible darts. Gemini feels it all, and even when pretending everything is fine, the body responds. Goosebumps rise, the stomach tightens, the heart races for no apparent reason. But there is a reason, and there always is. The spiritual field is speaking. Edgar Cayce once said, "Some signs think with their mind. Gemini thinks with the spiritual field. That's why your answers come so fast. Your decisions feel so natural. Your hunches are so accurate. It's not logic, it's alignment. It's reading the invisible. And that sensitivity deepens even more during sleep. Many Geminis report dreams so vivid, so real, they get confused with memories. But they're not just dreams, they are messages, they are warnings, they are visions disguised as symbols, metaphors, strange situations that later reveal themselves as truth. Gemini has access to the backstage of time, and often dreams of what is to come. People, places, conversations, accidents, decisions, all of this can appear in the dream realm as a kind of spiritual preview of reality. And even if you don't understand it right away, the universe archives it inside you. Sooner or later, that sense of "I've lived this before" hits, and then you remember. It was the dream. It was the warning. That's why sleep, for many Geminis, isn't rest. It's spiritual work. While the body rests, the soul travels. It explores, deciphers, observes. And sometimes you wake up with a light exhaustion no one else understands. Because even while sleeping, you were in another realm, receiving guidance, seeing what can't be seen with the eyes of flesh. This connection to the world of dreams is a portal few know how to access. But you were born with the key. And if you haven't learned how to use it yet, it's because no one taught you how to honor your spiritual gifts. And that brings us to the third gift of this almost mystical triad, the ability to foresee social situations. Gemini doesn't just feel the vibe, you anticipate it. You walk into a room and within minutes you already know who's lying, who's uncomfortable, who's interested in you, who's plotting something behind the scenes. And the most fascinating part, you know how to act, how to adjust your speech, your presence, your posture, almost surgically, to handle the situation in the most effective way possible. This isn't manipulation, it's reading the field. It's energetic intelligence. It's the spiritual mind of Gemini in full operation. How many times have you avoided an argument without even knowing why? Or dodged a problem because something told you, "Don't go there today"? Or helped someone with exactly the right words they needed, even though they hadn't said a thing? That's not coincidence. That's your soul in action. You have the ability to read the invisible dance of social energies, and that gives you an advantage, but it also isolates you. Because what's natural for you is a mystery to others, and when people don't understand your gift, they often try to diminish it. But Edgar Cayce knew. He said Geminis aren't two in one, as many say. They are many in one, a living fusion of open channels, subtle portals, silent visions, and this energetic plurality, so often misunderstood, is what makes you so special, so unique, so necessary. In a world that's increasingly disconnected from essence, you are the bridge between the spiritual and the everyday, between logic and feeling, between what is said and what is felt. That's why many are drawn to you in search of something they can't even name, a clarity, a relief, an understanding. And at the same time, that's why others pull away, because your presence reveals. Your perception unsettles. Your intuition disrupts. But you can't deny what you are anymore. You were programmed to see what others ignore, to hear what others silence, to feel what others reject. You are sensitive, visionary, a channel. And even if no one says it out loud, you feel when you're right. You know when something is about to happen. You pick up on it. If any of this resonated with you, drop a comment below. I think with the spiritual field, or my dreams are messages. And if you've ever had experiences like this, sensing something, reading minds, dreaming of the future, share it here. Let's build this spiritual community together. And that's where one of the greatest spiritual truths begins. One that few have the courage to accept. Gemini's freedom is not a choice. It's their nature. It doesn't matter how many rules society imposes, how many standards they try to force down your throat, how many routines they try to stick onto you. Something inside you always says, this doesn't belong to me. It's a kind of restlessness that others call instability, but in truth, it's a deep connection to the movement of the universe. You didn't come into the world to repeat what already exists. You came to question, renew, reinvent. That's why sticking to fixed routines, to rules that make no sense, to people who demand too many explanations, all of that makes you sick inside. You've tried, haven't you? You've tried to walk the more predictable path, to keep a routine, to pretend you were like everyone else, but something inside you screamed. And it wasn't a childish scream of rebellion. It was your soul warning you that the path wasn't yours. Because where there is no freedom, Gemini withers. Where there is repetition without purpose, Gemini shuts down. Where everything is predictable, the Gemini loses connection with their most precious gift, inspiration. You need fresh air, not just in your body, but in your soul. You need space to think, to change, to experiment. And that, inevitably, disturbs people, because your freedom exposes the emotional and mental prisons of others. The freedom of Gemini reveals the captivity of those around you, and many cannot bear to see someone be what they themselves are not. Without even realizing it, you inspire others to change, sometimes just by being present, other times with a sentence you say without thinking, or with a spontaneous gesture that shakes the foundations of whoever is watching. You show, without trying, that there is another way to live, that you don't have to conform to be accepted, that authenticity is, in fact, a spiritual path, and that for many is like a painful mirror, because when you allow yourself to be who you are, others are forced to confront who they've stopped being, and that generates admiration, but also discomfort. Have you noticed how some people start changing after spending time with you? How they begin to question things more, to say what they used to keep inside, to act with more lightness, to try something new? That happens because you have the ability to awaken sleeping souls. You are the wind that stirs the dust, the thought that cracks open rigid minds, the word that shakes off stagnation, even without meaning to, even without planning it. And that's beautiful. It's spiritual. It's divine, but it's also dangerous for those who live in their comfort zones, because people who've been trapped in the same structures for years don't deal well with someone who shows just by existing that everything could be different. And that's another reason why you attract so much disguised envy, because your way of breaking through the false and the limited threatens the fragile foundations of many people's lives. People who built their routines on convenient lies don't know how to handle someone who lives in truth. You have a natural sensitivity to detect what isn't real. Empty words, false intentions, fake friendships, relationships of convenience. All of that repels you, and your withdrawal causes reactions. Because when you step away from something that isn't true, you automatically reveal how much it was held together by illusions. And again, that bothers people. It's like your soul has a radar. When something stops making sense, you feel it. When someone isn't who they say they are, you just know. And no matter how much you try to stay quiet to keep the peace, there comes a point where you simply can't pretend anymore. Gemini breaks free. Gemini flies. Gemini cuts ties with whatever imprisons them. And that rupture, that breaking, that liberation is seen by others as coldness, instability, lack of commitment. But it's none of that. It's spiritual coherence. It's self-preservation. It's loyalty to your own essence. You weren't born to wear masks or to play roles. You were born to be a channel, and a channel needs to be clean, light, and free. That's why you feel so suffocated when you try to live like others, when you try to follow a routine that doesn't resonate, when you force yourself into a relationship that doesn't flow, when you say yes to what your heart is screaming no. You feel your body grow heavy, your mind tired, your soul go silent, because every time you betray your freedom, you weaken your connection to the spiritual. Gemini needs to move, to change, to explore, not out of whim, but because it is in freedom that your gift comes alive. It is in the new that inspiration is born. It is in the open air that intuition expands. And it is exactly because you live this truth that you unsettle people so deeply, because others see in you what they still don't have the courage to seek: a lighter life, a truer life, a life more aligned with the soul. And that kind of courage, even in silence, is revolutionary. You don't need to shout. Your freedom already speaks. Your energy already transmits. Your existence is already a message. If you felt like this describes your experience, drop a comment below. My freedom reveals prisons, or I am the wind that awakens. Tell me if you're a Gemini, or if you know someone with that free soul that refuses to bow. Share if you've ever felt the pain of being judged, just for refusing to live a small life. Your comment is more than a response, it's part of our spiritual connection here. And if this message truly touched you, go ahead and hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And there is something even more mysterious behind all that restless light that Gemini carries. Something that isn't always visible to the naked eye, but reveals itself in life's most delicate moments. Some call it luck, others coincidence. But for those who see, with the eyes of the soul, it is simply the invisible hand of divine protection. How many times have you narrowly escaped a situation that could have ended badly? How often have you felt something greater pulling you back just seconds before chaos struck? It's not chance, it's not blind luck. It's the spiritual force that has walked with you since birth, and the more aligned you are with your mission, the more this protection reveals itself. Gemini is protected, even if it doesn't look like it. Even when you feel alone, confused, or lost at times, something or someone is watching over you. It's as if the universe knows your existence here has a specific purpose, a path that, no matter how many detours it takes, always returns to the essential point, your spiritual mission. And that's exactly why you are saved at the last second, why the car stops just in time, why you decide not to go somewhere, only to later find out something terrible happened there, why an unexpected phone call completely shifts your path. It's as if a silent voice whispers, "It's not your time yet," because as long as your mission isn't complete, the universe will do everything to keep you standing. But this protection doesn't come without signs. It always shows up before, during, or after events. You just need to pay attention. And this is another one of your rare gifts: the ability to notice signs others ignore. A repeating number, a song that plays at the right moment, a sudden chill, a recurring dream, a name that keeps appearing, a feeling of, "I've been here before." None of it is random. Gemini receives messages all the time, in subtle and deep ways. And often you notice, but doubt, or think you're being dramatic, but you're not. These messages are codes, warnings, nudges from the invisible that remind you, you are not alone. You are being guided, and the more you listen, the more the path unfolds. Yet for most people, all of this feels strange. They don't understand how you seem to just know things without proof, how you distance yourself from people or places at the perfect time, how you shift direction like someone following a higher command. And once again, that unsettles them, because your connection to the subtle realm defies the logic of those trapped in the material world. You move by intuition, by flow, by signs. You choose paths no one dares to walk, simply because something inside you says, "This is the way." And what's most incredible, you're almost always right. But that certainty comes from within, not from outside. It's as if your soul carries an invisible compass, always pointing you in the right direction, even when it looks wrong to others. And now comes the most sacred point of all, the true reason why you are so protected. Gemini has a mission of spiritual communication. You didn't come here just to live, to survive, to take up space. You came to translate heaven into earth, to be a channel for something greater. Edgar Cayce said Geminis are messengers not just between people but between dimensions. You're able to receive truths from the higher planes and transform them into words that touch people's hearts. That's why your voice heals, why your writing moves others, why your presence comforts even in silence. You were programmed to deliver messages, to spread ideas, to activate awareness, to light up sleeping minds. And the most curious part? Many times you do this without even realizing it. You say something, make a casual comment, share a dream, and it becomes a turning point in someone's life. You think it was just a conversation, but the person who heard it will never be the same. That's a gift. That's a mission. And the more you accept that truth, the more the universe honors you. The clearer the signs become, the stronger the protection gets, because a conscious channel is a living bridge between worlds. And the cleaner that channel is, the more powerful the message it carries. So when you feel like you're being attacked, criticized, judged for being different, remember this: your difference is spiritual. It's not a flaw. It's not a mistake. It's energetic identity. It's a mark of purpose. You carry the gift of soul-filled words, of vision with meaning, of movement with purpose. And the world needs that, even if it doesn't realize it yet. Gemini didn't come to please. It came to awaken. And awakening hurts, for you and for others. But it's worth every second, because every soul touched by your truth becomes freer, more aware, more alive. Gemini is a bridge, a portal, and a prophet. And this is not an exaggeration. It's spiritual recognition. When you begin to see yourself not just as someone with an active mind or a restless soul, but as a conscious channel between the visible and the invisible, everything changes. You begin to understand why some doors closed, why certain people walked away, why some places were never able to contain you. And even more, you begin to clearly see the real reason behind so many suspicious glances, so much envy disguised as criticism, so much baseless judgment. It's not about your looks. It's not about your charm. It's about your mission. It's about what you represent spiritually, even if no one can quite put it into words. The light you carry is not vanity. It's awakened consciousness. It's light that pulses because it was lit by something greater. And those who still live in darkness feel disturbed. It's uncomfortable to witness someone who moves freely. It's unsettling to see someone speak truthfully. It's confronting to watch someone follow their intuition, even without approval, because the world has been trained to obey, to conform, to hide. But you haven't. You were designed to expand, to open, to communicate, to reveal. And even when you try to stay silent, the universe insists. Speak, show up, move, reveal. Because you are a living extension of something coming from higher realms. Your vibration translates codes the world needs to hear. And that alone is a divine calling. How many times have you tried to dim your essence to be accepted? How many times have you swallowed your intuition to fit into a group, a relationship, a space? How many times have you silenced your visions, your ideas, your dreams, just to avoid making others uncomfortable? And even then, you still made them uncomfortable, because your presence doesn't depend on noise. Your presence is vibration, and vibration can't be hidden. It penetrates, it imposes, it reveals. And the revelation you carry frightens those who live pretending. It frightens those who built their sense of security on convenient lies. It frightens those who never had the courage to feel what you feel. That's why they don't envy your face, your style, your success. They envy the invisible force that keeps you standing after so many falls. They envy your connection to the spiritual. They envy the mission that burns in you like a beacon. And you feel it. You feel when someone smiles with their lips but wounds you with their eyes. You feel when you are wanted on the outside but rejected on the inside. You feel when the energy of a room tries to push you out just because your light is too big to be tolerated there. But what few understand, and what you might just now be beginning to realize, is that this is a seal, a mark, an energetic signature of someone who came with a mission. You weren't made to hide. You weren't called to be a supporting role in your own life. You are the protagonist of a greater plan, and every step you take, no matter how strange it may seem in the moment, is carving a sacred path that others, later on, will follow. Edgar Cayce once said, "Geminis were sent to translate heaven to earth, to give language to the invisible, to make thought into reality, intuition into message, doubt into revelation." That's why there's so much fluctuation. That's why there's so much intensity, so many phases, so many versions, so many transformations. You are plural because you carry deep spiritual layers. Every change that happens within you is a call to a new level of mission. That's why you can't be tied down, can't pretend, can't follow the old script. You have to listen to your soul, and you have to accept that your soul didn't come to obey, it came to lead. And when you begin to accept that, to honor it, to breathe it, everything aligns. The answers come, the pieces fit, the pain becomes portals, the losses reveal themselves as liberations, rejection becomes protection. The silence of the world turns into the voice from above saying, "Now you're ready," because the universe can only entrust great messages to those who have the courage to carry their own light. And your light is now shining brighter than ever. You are beginning to remember who you truly are. And from this moment on, there's no turning back. If you felt this message spoke directly to your soul, leave a comment below. My mission unsettles those without light. Tell me if you're a Gemini or if you know someone who carries this vibration, this calling, this magnetism, this force that can't be explained in ordinary words. Write in the comments, because your story, your energy, and your journey are a living part of this channel. And if you feel that you carry a purpose, that you weren't born by accident, that something greater is trying to manifest through your existence, then subscribe now. This channel is your place. Here, you will find not just answers, but recognition, not just content, but connection, because together, we're remembering that spiritual mission isn't something you ask for, it's something you live, and yours has already begun. If you made it this far, that already says a lot about you. It means something inside you resonated with every word, with every revelation, with every spiritual truth we shared. And if this content touched your soul in any way, now is the time to act with awareness. Subscribe to the channel now. It's not just a button, it's a commitment to your spiritual journey, to your awakening, to your mission. Here, every video is created with intention, truth, and depth, and you are part of that. Leave a comment below right now. I am a channel between heaven and earth. That's the seal of someone who feels they carry something greater, of someone who recognizes their mission and chooses to walk with awareness. Write that phrase with faith. It activates your vibration and strengthens this wave of awakened souls we're building together here. Hit the like button if this video touched you, made you reflect, or simply confirmed something you felt inside for a long time. Your like is a signal to the universe that you're ready to receive more. And now don't stop here. The next video is already appearing on the left side of your screen. Click on it and continue your journey with me, because your mission doesn't end here. It's only just beginning. Shall we continue? Together?